Thank you very much for taking the time to watch these videos. I hope you'll subscribe if you're liking them. I spend time all the time thinking about what stories do I tell you. And, learning a language is a social activity much more than it's an academic activity. And so I spent 40 hours a week with my friend that you met in the class. You met Alberto Romero, and I spent about 40 hours a week with him. And then after, it's the last day of language school. And we're about to have our graduation. But my final test is the next day. And so I am nervous. This is book 4 out of 4 books that we had to do. And I'm pretty nervous about it. Now, Alberto comes to see me and he said, look, I was wondering if you might drive your Suburban and I'll put about 5 6 Mexicans in there and we'll all go to the football game, the soccer game. And so I said, well, it's final test. I said, I can't make a trip. And he said, look, you're going to learn more Spanish riding around with me or studying those books. Which one? I said, okay. So we headed out to watch the Cruz Azul, which would be Blue Cross, and the Chivas, which is a goats soccer game in Guadalajara. I drove about 4.5 hours, can't remember exactly how far, and arrived in Guadalajara. The truck was loaded with men. And so we got over there, and several things happened. On the way over, everybody was drinking out of a jug. And then it was a gallon jug. It had some kind of fruit juice in it. He said, I guess you don't want to put your lips where my lips and all the other men have been, are you? I thought, hand me the thing, and I drank it. I was a little nervous because I was still brand new to sharing, which is pretty much a cultural thing anywhere else in the world but the United States. And so and we did it when I was a kid. There was a common dipper down at the spring that came out of the mountain or at the well where you got water and you just swished it out and threw it away. But things had changed in America and I wasn't used to that. So we drank out of that together, and then we arrived there. And when I got to Guadalajara, I didn't know how to get where I was going. So I said to the guy, I said, Alberto, I said, I don't know where to go. And, there wasn't any GPS in those days. And he said, well, stop and ask somebody. So I stopped and asked. And when I did, the guy started talking. I didn't understand a word he was saying. Different city, different state, different accent, all on me. I couldn't understand it at all. It was funny. So I turned to him and I said, hey, Alberto, I said, tell me what he said. And he said, I am not helping you. He said, you're here to learn Spanish. He said, ask the guy again. And I was like, what in the world? So I asked again, and he repeated it 2 or 3 times, and I finally got it. And I finally figured out what he was saying, and we got to the place. And I got home that night about 4:30. It had to be in class, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning, I think, maybe the next day. Now, how did I do on that test? Because he was like, we're going to see what happens when you take that test. And I took that test, and I made the highest grade in the class. And he said, did I not tell you that was what was going to happen? And so when you're learning a language, remember this: social activity and not understanding and being able to laugh at yourself and spending time with people is how you learn a language. I still remember I went with the Americans to the auto parts place, and the guy would be telling me, he said, no, we don't have that part. And I said, where can I get it? And he'd look past me at my friend, and he'd be telling us how to go get the part, and he wouldn't slow down. And I'd say, would you repeat? And he just kept smiling, looking at my friend. And we got outside to get in the car, and I said, I didn't understand a word he said. Did you? He said, no, I didn't understand anything. I'm newer than you. And I said, well, what happened? I said, he was looking at you the whole time. And he said, I just smiling and shaking my head. And so, I'm just telling you that that's how you learn a language. You're going to have to take a risk. You're going to have to jump out there. You're going to spend time with people. You're going to have to let them laugh at you. But I drove all the way over, so 8 or 9 hours in the car, watched a soccer game I did not understand at all, but I spent time with the people, my friends, and I made the best grade. I just want to tell you that because I think if you'll apply that to your life, you'll find that it works and it works well. Use it in your language learning, and I think you'll be glad you did.